Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, it is Wednesday night, which is must-see TV here on the DJNTV News Network. As you guys know, my name is KC, and I'm the producer of the world-famous, internationally known, critically acclaimed, world-famous Marquee show, and we are excited to be here again today. Talking with one of our 2024 and 2025 presenters, and part of the class that I was honored to be in, the 2025 Mex Hall of Fame. Ladies and gentlemen, say hello to David Hanscom. David, how you doing?
Hey, buddy, I'm good, doing well. Thanks for having me on with you guys tonight.
Yeah, thanks for being on. We appreciate it. Looking forward to having you back at Marquee this year. And if memory serves, last year, because I was kind of laid up, so I wasn't that mobile,
Yep.
you had a conflict. You came in like pretty much to speak, and you didn't get a chance to really enjoy the whole conference, right?
Yeah, so I had another conference that I was speaking at, and I basically got there the same day that my presentation was and had to kind of just do that. And I wanted to be there longer, but that was what my schedule would allow for me, and I did not want to miss being there. So I was
Right.
like, I will be there by hook or crook somehow
Gotcha. And this year you're going to be able to hang and have some
the whole
Chicago
time.
style hot dogs, beef,
Yep.
some deep dish pizza. Can you feel Brian Bonacisi cringing right now
I
at
know,
that
right?
delicious, delicious real pizza? Actually, real tourist pizza is what I would call it.
Yeah.
Chicago style is deep dish is not what true Chicagoans have. We have what we call our tavern style, which is
Yep.
thin and delicioso.
Oh
So
yeah.
that's that. So for those of you that don't know David, I'm going to ask David right now to kind of go ahead and let people know who you are, where you're from, kind of how you got started, and what is. I think that everyone loves the business, but like people, like
Yeah.
I'm a marketing nerd. I'm a big marketing nerd, sales nerd. Like tell people like kind of what your niche is or what your passion is within the subcategory of the DJ entertainment business.
Okay, cool. Thanks for the opportunity, and I'll try to keep the story short because I've been around this industry for a long time. But I actually came into the industry probably by accident. When I
I think
was,
most people do. I mean, you
yeah,
don't hear kindergartners going, "I want to be a wedding
I want
DJ
to be a
someday."
DJ, right? Well,
Right.
I in high school I wanted to be a either basketball or baseball player, and that was my passion, my goal. That was what I was gonna do until I had to have reconstructive surgery on both of my ankles before I got out of high school.
Right.
And my parents kind of started saying, "Well, what else do you like to do?" And I said, "Well, I love music, and I'm kind of the class clown." And we started looking around, and lo and behold, there was an opportunity at the local. My dad was in the Navy, so the local Armed Forces radio and television station was looking for somebody to come intern with them. And I said, that looks like fun. Let's go do that. And so I actually started in radio. And then from radio, kind of just moved into doing weddings and private events and things like that. So that's the
Got
very
it.
condensed down version, but that's kind of origin story to everything since then.
Gotcha. So is your passion more on the performing side, the business side, the marketing side, the sales side, teaching, growing the
Yeah, you
business?
know,
Where are you at?
what's interesting, I think, for me is that, and I've tried to be as kind of vulnerable and transparent as I can about this topic, which is I'm a very introverted person. When I perform and do the job that we all do, to me, it's really actually like that. It's performing. You flip the switch. The guys and girls that kind of are similar know what I'm talking about, and it's an interesting field to be in when you're an introverted person because everybody just kind of immediately and figures that we're very extroverted people and very big personalities and things like that, and a lot of people in our industry are.
Right.
But for me, that's something that I understand. It's kind of I equate it to an athlete, like as an athlete, especially if you're a well-known athlete. Obviously, people are going to want to take pictures and get autographs and different things like that. And there's things that just come with it. And I think in our world, it's kind of the same way that we have kind of these larger than life personalities at the events that we're at and so forth. And it's just a challenge that I've continued to keep. I face it every single weekend of my life. Every time I go out and work, it's a very interesting thing. But I do think it's also something that's not talked about enough in our industry, and something that I like to talk about, and I like to open up and say, hey, if there's anybody out there that feels the same way, you're not by yourself, you're not alone, and there are people in this industry that are like that.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So last year you did a seminar on the third day. It was
Mhm.
called "Turning Contacts into Contracts."
Yeah.
So to kind of give people, go ahead and tell people kind of what they missed, and give us the Reader's Digest version of that.
Yeah, so to me, that was just an approach of like making sure that you're hitting all of the opportunities and all the angles of the people that you're connecting with, and a lot of it focused also on like networking, picking out networking events that you're going to, making sure you're going to networking events that have people in the room that are going to be, you know, people that can help you move that needle, people that are going to help you be able to build your business and things like this. It doesn't make sense to go to a networking function just to go. It doesn't make sense to go to a networking function and just stand around like a wallflower and wait for people to come to you. People think that if you're the new person, that everybody's going to flock to you. And in a perfect world, that's the way it would happen. But most of the time, it actually doesn't happen at networking events. So you have to be very intentional and very specific about what you're doing. I also touched a
Right.
little bit on the importance of like a mentor or the importance of like an accountability partner. Maybe you don't have have a mentor, but an accountability partner. And you know, I have a couple of buddies of mine that we are each other's accountability partners, and we're very serious about that. We don't let each other off the hook. We find funny ways to penalize each other when we don't commit to the things that we say we're going to do. And I think it's just really helped us all grow together in that fashion. So those are the key things that I hit on that one.
Gotcha. Very good. Now, on that subject of networking and such, are you a member of NACE, ILEA, WIPA, any of those, or do you
Yeah.
have?
So
You tell everyone where you're from. What specific area of the country?
yeah, so that's a good point. Yeah, so I'm most people know it as Jacksonville, Florida. I actually live in a sub area of Jacksonville, Ponte Vedra, Florida. But most people that don't know where we are know where Jacksonville, Florida is. So no, Northeast Florida. I'm actually the current chapter president of my MPI chapter, or Meeting Professionals International, for people that aren't familiar with that acronym. I have been a member of NACE in the past. This is my second year of being the president of my MPI chapter. So when I moved over to doing that, I kind of just took that on and said, okay, I'm just going to do this right now and kind of give some of the other networking groups a little bit of a rest, because of the responsibility of being the president of the organization is a lot of work. It's like having another job.
Sure, I can relate. From having,
Yeah.
I served on the NACE board, going all the way back. I served on my fraternity board.
Hmm.
A lot of people know I started Think Tank, and so I was the board for the first, I don't know, 3, 4 years, somewhere in that neighborhood, and then took on some help in that, and then yeah, I served on the board for the ADJA, and I run the Chicago Disc Jockey Network. So yeah, I am very well aware of it, and
Sure.
it does take a certain passion to be able to do that, and want to do it. And I think it's true of any organization that, like, 15% are your leaders, right? And then what does it come out to? 60% are or 70% are your average members. They come, they pay their dues, they do what they're supposed to do, and then 15% should never be in any organization because they're the complainers. They find everything wrong with it. It isn't what they signed up for, and those were the guys that only showed up for the parties in our fraternity house, never wanted to help clean or work the charity events
Of course.
or any of that stuff, and then complained about how the pledges weren't giving them enough respect or whatever. So, but that's true of most organizations too. Even professional basketball teams, baseball teams, you always have your Michael Jordans, your LeBrons, your Kobe's, and then you've got your core, and then you've got the ones where you're begging as a fan for that team to trade off John Doe or Jane Doe or whoever it is, and it's just the way that
Yep.
it is.
Yeah.
So yeah, I know it well. Um, so that's great. I didn't realize you were the MPI chapter president. So going back to that for a minute, because we're going to have a panel, and maybe you could even join us, because I don't have someone. MPI's golf outing happens to be the day that I'm trying to do it. We're doing a panel called Success by Association,
Oh, cool.
and
Yeah.
we have the president of ILEA, who happens to be the owner or the CEO of AV Chicago, is coming. We
Okay.
have the vice president of NACE coming, who's a good friend of mine, and I happen to DJ his wedding, him and his husband's wedding. Do you know Darrell Jones by chance? DJ out
I
of Atlanta and Chicago.
feel like the name sounds familiar. If I saw him, I probably would say,
Yeah,
"Oh,
if you've
yes, we
ever been
definitely
to
have who that
DJ
is."
Collective, you've met him. Super nice guy. He's actually representing WIPA, and if you wouldn't mind jumping on the panel, we
Count me
will
in.
have you represent MPI. And the nice part is you and Darrell not only speak from a a member point of view, but you speak specifically from a disc jockey point of view, and perhaps photo booth novelty point of view too. So as a result of that, you can really get not just on the peripheral view, but you can get down in the weeds and even give some real life accountability as to accounts of the successes that you've had, whether they be major or minor or what have you. So,
Yep,
so yeah,
count me in, man. I'm all in. I'll do it.
very good. And since we've got the time, so let's go back to networking for a minute. And what would you say? Top 3 things. John Doe joins Acme Widget Association. And if you're not in a major city, there might not be an MPI chapter. There may not be a Convention and Visitors Bureau. It might be a traditional BNI group, or it could be a traditional Chamber of Commerce. Give like your top 3 or a couple of hints of how to be the most successful when going to a networking function or joining an association. We'll even go that far.
Yeah, I mean, I think honestly, one of my tips would probably come even before joining, which is obviously making sure that what you're joining aligns with what you're trying to accomplish with your business in the first place. Right. A lot of people will just go out and join anything and just think that, it kind of that if they build it, they will come theory. Sure. It's also like if I join it, they will hire me theory. Right. So I think, obviously making sure that you're jumping into something that, that aligns. So let's say that you've gotten past that. The next thing I would say to people is to realize that you're going to give a lot more than you're going to get normally. Right. That's just the way it goes. Sure. You have to be willing to contribute. You have to be willing to be a giver. And I think that it's important that you give without keeping score. Like you don't sit there and say, well, I've volunteered for this and I DJ'd this thing for free and I gave my photo booth up for that and I haven't gotten anything from it yet, because that return on those things may not come until 6 months, 8 months, 9 months down the road. But when it comes, it'll usually be way greater than what you gave once that opportunity happens. One of the areas that I think a lot of people, especially nowadays, overlook and forget is the old business adage of people want to do business with people they know, like, and trust. Well, 100%. They don't have the opportunity to know, like, and trust you the minute you join the organization. You've got to give them time. You've got to invest time. You've got to do one-on-ones with people. You've got to listen to them. Let them tell you about who they are and figure out how you can help them first. That's another thing I think that gets overlooked a lot is like, what can you do for other people first? Can you be a connector? Sometimes that's the best thing you can be. You can be in conversations with people and they can tell you about a struggle they have or a person that they're trying to meet or an avenue that they're trying to get into that you have a connection to, that you can build that bridge for them and help them make that connection or get that piece of business or whatever. And it's going to come back to you. It may not come back to you from that person, but it'll come back to you somehow within the group if the group functions the way it should be.
And I think that joining an association, truthfully, is like joining a health club.
Yeah.
If you don't go all the time and commit yourself to it, and not just go like you're going to go and hang out at the health club and have a smoothie or maybe even sit in the hot tub, which is there's nothing wrong with, but you're not going to get the results that you want either. So if you truly want to get the most out of any association, like you said, get involved, donate your services where appropriate, and try to do as much schmoozing as possible without being a salesman.
Right.
And that's the biggest thing. Nobody wants to be sold.
Well, and if they have, if they have a board or if they have committees and things like that, get on board with those things. Because the beautiful thing about a lot of these organizations, and Casey, you know this because of your involvement, most people have to be voluntold to do these things, right? Because nobody wants to do it. So if you're somebody that's saying, hey, I'm willing to contribute my time and I'm willing to be, a committee member or a board member or something like that, just the sheer fact that you're willing to do that, and then you make the investment of that time to do that, people will want to get to know you. This is how kind of, they say the cream rises to the top. You will be that cream rising to the top just because of the fact that you are willing to make that contribution of your time. Right.
Not only that, but if you don't like something, if you want to evoke change, be part of the change. Okay. If you say that, God, this group's just not very friendly, well then volunteer to be a hospitality chair, and you go around and take the newbie and go to and introduce him or her to every single person around the room, or try to institute, like a speed dating kind of a thing, speed networking for the first 10 minutes. Right now, go meet somebody you haven't met before. Bam, 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 and kind of go from that point of view. And I think that from, and there's nothing wrong with it, but out of sheer comfort, we see the people we really like at a networking event or conference, restaurant, bar, wherever. We approach them first to say hello, get the hugs, get the affirmation that we love. How are things? Great, 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 etc. But then now you have to go outside of your comfort level and perhaps meet someone that you don't know. And depending, again, if you're introverted, extroverted, or afraid of rejection, which I think is the biggest fear that people have, is they don't want to be made to feel stupid or scared that someone's not going to look at them that way. And it's sad because as children, we were just all dorks. We ran around the playground, we did this, and it wasn't until adolescence where someone said, "Dave, you're an idiot." And then you're like, "Why? Why am I an idiot? You dance like a dork." And now all of a sudden we have, insecurities about whatever it is. Some of us do. And I think that, all of us have it to a small degree. It's just different levels. So, and
I think to piggyback on that just a hair, I think a lot of times what happens too is we go into it with the wrong intentions. If we're going into it with the intentions of getting business initially, we've already gone into it with the wrong intentions.
Correct.
Let's go into it with the intentions of getting to know people, because you may find out that you don't even want the business from these people, honestly, because it may not align with your company. It may not align with your price point. There's a million reasons why it may not align. So taking time to get, and I know it's a long game, but the old saying, play chess, not checkers. You always will win if you do that.
100%. So, and the trick should be, just like anything in life, is you should have goals. So every networking event you go to, depending on the size of the organization, you should try to set a goal to meet 3 people, 5 people, 4 people, and maybe develop enough rapport that you ask one of them to go out for coffee for no other reason but to get to know them better.
Yep.
So, and the best part about it, and I think you'll agree with this, there aren't enough DJs doing it. Okay. Last week we had Michael Sawpaw, and he was talking about how he's got a business partner or a friend, someone who worked for him that moved to Chicago, became his business partner in a Chicago office. And he said they've gotten on like 12 very nice venues preferred vendor lists simply because they asked and nobody else was asking.
Yeah.
And and that's it. So yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of visiting banquet halls. Prior to me having such a full plate, when I had just my other DJ company years ago, Tuesdays were always the days for association meetings. Second one of the month was NACE, third was ISIS or ILEA now, and then I think MPI was like the third. So I used to make it a point that I'd go in the morning and around noon I'd leave, and I would take on a different part of the city, just visiting banquet halls, hotels, country clubs, etc., dropping off. At the time they were CDs, but I would make different CDs like every couple months, or make like a summer party time CD or Christmas CDs or whatever, drop those off, drop off little bags of candy that we'd make, really easy stuff. And I'll tell you, especially when social media popped, it was great to have people always posting going, great to see the people from such and such company. Casey always brings us the best stuff. And it's great to just get that little pat on the back or what have you, and people are excited. So one of the things we did, again, before the digital ages, so to speak, was desk calendars, big old blotters.
Oh yeah.
We had those made. I have to tell you, from 100% ego point of view, nothing was better. We had them, and our logos were enormous, huge, like a half tone through the back.
Yep.
And I knew every single one of my competitors, like all of my friendly ones, were like, "So I saw you got to Acme Widget Banquet Hall." I'd be like, "How'd you know that?" "Oh, we saw every desk has your desk calendar on it." Like, well, when they're on the phone and someone says you need a good DJ, name, phone number, URL was right there. But again, those days are kind of gone. Nobody uses a desk calendar anymore. But that was maybe $1,000 we always spent. And it got to the point where the week of Christmas to New Year's, we get people calling us in December. going, are you bringing us calendars again this year, or should we go out and buy our own? And be like, no, we'll come out and visit, and that would be it. So we go through like a couple hundred of them, dropping them off at photographers, video. I mean, we dropped them off everywhere. We spent like 2 weeks just going around dropping them off. So saying hello to people and getting ready. So it was always a big deal. But yeah, I mean, it's again, it's like exercise, man. The more you do, the better shape you're going to be in. And I had dinner with lunch the other day with someone, and he's part of the EOS group, and he said one thing no one can argue when it comes to sales. Yes, it's frustrating to constantly be told no. He said, but I'll say this. He goes, you talk to any salesman, they'll tell you 100% of the time, you get far more sales making phone calls and dealing with rejection than you do by not making phone calls.
Yeah.
And it's
Numbers
the same
game, man.
thing with
Bottom line.
100%. 100%.
And here's the other cool thing about it. And this, to your point, and this is a little old school sales tactic as well, but to your point, if you start measuring those types of things, right? So let's say you make 20 sales calls, and in those 20 sales calls, you get 4 sales out of it, right? So now you start to get this percentage where you're like, okay, I'm doing about, what's that? About 20% is what I'm getting. So now you start to really be able to understand the numbers, and you say, okay, well, if I need to do 16 sales a month to make my numbers work or whatever, then you already know the average of how many sales calls you need to be doing, and you know that if you haven't done, what's that, 20, 40, 60, 80, if you haven't done 80 sales calls, right? I think my number is right there. If you haven't done that many sales calls, then that's why you haven't got the sales that you're looking for yet. The numbers never lie, and that's the beauty of doing those types of things. And I just think that kind of ideology and that kind of thought process has been lost completely through social media and the internet and things like that, because there's this kind of misnomer that people think, well, all I got to do is just have a social media account and everybody's going to know who I am and hire me. And this just is not true.
No, and the sad part is it is very much like being in shape now more than ever. It's diet, it's sleep, it's cardio, it's resistance training, it's stretching, and it's the same thing in business. It's being in the office, answering the phones, getting out and talking to people. It is social media. It is far different. When I started, I couldn't wait for the Yellow Pages to come out. I mean, that to me was when the cash register started ringing.
Yep.
And it's just different. So hello to Mr. Nipka and Mr. Somera, and the fabulous Brian McCann is watching. He says that you are the man, David. We're excited to have Brian. He was on last week, and we're excited about having him at the show this year with that fabulous product, Simple Software, to keep your business in order. So, yeah, so absolutely. And guys, we're talking marketing and sales here. We're not talking about gear, boys. So quit talking about what speakers you're using. All right. So, so last year was, again, contacts to contracts. This year, go ahead, lay it on them. Unless you want me to read it, unless you know it by heart.
Read it, because I played around with the title a couple of times, so I forgot completely what I landed on, to be honest with you, but I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, so I'm not gonna make any. Oh, I just grabbed the wrong website. Isn't that the case? Marquee. Is that it? How do you spell Marquee?
How do we spell Marquee DJ Show?
Here we go. Let's go to agenda. You are on Thursday, which gives everybody a reason to stay. Okay.
And please stick around. Don't get an early flight. Stick around for the whole show.
That's right. And the whole show's over at 3:00, and we're going out of O'Hare. And the nice part about O'Hare Airport, which is free shuttle bus service to and from the hotel, is you can get a flight anywhere out of O'Hare at any time. So you can easily get an evening flight home to wherever you live, and you won't have a problem. So,
well, and you know what? You just made my day saying that about the shuttle service, because I didn't even know that was a thing. So that's
there.
Awesome.
You go. Yeah. David Hanscom, booked once, hired forever, mastering the client comeback game. In this bold, energizing session, 2025 MEX Hall of Fame inductee David Hanscom delivers 6 punchy and practical steps to turn one-time clients into lifelong raving fans. With over 2 decades of success in the entertainment and event world, David knows that clients Oh, client loyalty. I'm like, I thought I made a typo, but I can't read. David knows that client loyalty isn't an accident, it's a strategy. You learn how to dominate the first 48 hours, build trust like a pro, and make yourself so indispensable that clients wouldn't dream of going anywhere else. This session is built for the ambitious professional who is ready to level up their retention game, boost profitability, and make their brand unforgettable. If you're tired of chasing new clients and ready to start collecting superfans, this session is for you. Key takeaways: the first 48 hours matter more than you think. Number 2, retention is more profitable than acquisition. And number 3, repeat clients don't happen by accident, they happen by design.
Yes, sir.
So that's going to be Thursday from 1 o'clock until 2:50. And then I wrap the show up with growing your business vertically and horizontally. And the show floor will end that day as well at 3 o'clock. So we still have a full day. We're starting at 9 o'clock in the morning that day. So it still is a very full day for everybody. So let's expand a little bit more on your seminar.
Yeah, so the whole idea came to me because I have a lot of my DJ friends that do predominantly weddings, and they were just expressing complaint, concern, whatever definition we want to put on it, about constantly having to get new clients all the time, because their mindset was, well, I do this person's wedding one time, and what am I going to do with them after that? And I'm like, man, you're totally missing the boat, and there's so many opportunities that can come out of that relationship with that client if you plant the seeds early on, and if you create, as you said in that write-up, create a super fan. And this is not about social media. This is not about getting them to like anything or comment on anything of your social media. This is about them being somebody who's out there telling other people about you. It's one of the philosophies that I believe in, which is surrounding yourself with people that are willing to talk highly about you in rooms that you may never be in yourself. And so it's an opportunity to be an extension of you. And so it's just very specific tactics that change the entire mindset of those one-time client thought process that we normally have about our wedding clients, and being able to find ways to generate business from them. And then also looking at two very important statistics. One of them is CAC, which is your client acquisition cost. And then the other one is LV, the lifetime value of your client, and really understanding what those two things mean. So we'll dive into that a little bit, and we'll talk about how we can figure those things out, and also about why both of those numbers are super important in your business.
Right. Very good. Very good indeed. No, and that's not just getting referrals from banquet facilities and stuff. You're talking about how to be top of mind, so that when somebody talks to someone and says, "Oh, you just got engaged," you have to go with my DJ, my photographer, my videographer, whatever discipline it is that you happen to specialize in. So
well, and then of course I don't want to give too much of the seminar away and not give people a reason to come, but that's a great example. But even another example is remembering that just about every couple that you work with, or excuse me, that you're going to be doing an event with, works somewhere. So wherever they work at probably has something going on, a holiday party, a summer picnic, something that you could provide a service for. And that is a missed opportunity that I mean, I don't know what the numbers are, but I bet it's a large percentage of people in our industry that just totally don't even think about that. And it's just a super, super big missed opportunity. But there is a little more finessing the situation than just asking them, hey, does your company do a holiday party? I mean, it takes a little bit more than that, but I mean, that's just one example of what I'm talking about, of where we can really build upon this and create opportunities that we didn't think about, or just didn't focus on, currently existing.
Yeah. And it's like anything. You got to ask the prettiest girl in the place to dance, or ask her for a number in order to get it. And there's too many missed opportunities. And part of it too, and I do agree with this, is when you get that initial inquiry, and if you can do a little bit of, call it non-stalkerish background on your clients, just by asking open-ended questions when you chat with them on the phone, you'd be amazed at how much information you can collect in order to not falsely build a relationship with them, but try to find the commonalities. And I don't know about you, I always ask where people went to high school, where they grew up, where they're from, things along those
Yeah.
lines, so that I can find that common denominator. And whether it's the high school you went to, the church you belong to, the neighborhood you grew up in, or you go to, or what have you, or ethnicities, or what have you, and like you said, everybody wants to do business with someone they know, like, and trust. So the
Yeah.
more comfortable they are with you, especially about a wedding day, there's no question about it. So
Yeah, I love those. I love those commonality questions, and like you said, finding something that you can be on an even playing field with them. I think another area that dealing with the generation that we deal with now that are kind of in that stage in life life point of getting married and things like that it's a very non-committal generation, and it's a very like, I'll commit when I'm ready, but until then, I'm just, tire kick. Excuse me. Some of us call it tire kicking, window shopping, whatever you want to call it. But the reality is, if we understand that there is an actual buying process that people go through, and it's a 6-step buying process. The 6th step actually happens after the event, if you will. But the first 5 steps happen leading up to the event, and it's important for us as business owners and people that represent our company on the phone doing Salesforce and things like that to understand what those 5 steps are in the buying process, understand how to find out where the person on the other end is in that process. Because if they're early on in the process, I promise you, there's nothing you can tell them to get them to buy from you, because they are not psychologically and mentally ready to buy yet. And so
right,
you've got to understand that, and you've got to be able to speak a different language to that person versus that person who has already done their research. They've already talked to 3 other DJ companies, whatever. They've talked to you. They like you the best. They're ready to make a move. And now they're hot, and now they're ready to go. But if you don't know that by asking the right questions, then you might burn that opportunity because you've tried to hit them with that too early in the conversation. And the converse of that is, if they are ready and you don't realize that and you don't ask for the sale, you may miss it because the next person that they talk to will probably ask for the sale. So
right,
that's another super important part of all of this. I think it's so necessary for us to understand and be aware of.
right. And we're dealing in super sensitive times too. People are
Yep.
getting their nose bent out of shape for all kinds of stuff. And not
Yep.
to turn this into a political thing, but my God, it seems like the whole world either loves or hates everything today.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. It's very
and so
polarizing for sure.
yeah, so you have to be very, very aware of it. And when you're talking to people again, I think you have to be under the premise of, how do I serve in a certain capacity. I actually just listened to somebody tell me the other day in a group that she believes one of the reasons that female DJs are on the rise is because women are tired of men telling them what to do. Now, I'm sure there's some truth to that, and I get that, and I was sensitive to it, but I think in this situation, she was just being super sensitive as a female DJ. But maybe she is seeing that. But again, the trick is, as a male dominated field, if you are dealing with a lot of women that feel this way, you just have to be as passive as possible by, having them give you permission to lead the way, if that's where it is, as opposed to you feeling as though you're supposed to. And again, I think a lot of this is just reading the audience and seeing what's in front of you, and asking a lot of open-ended questions.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, but you're right. You're right. It is a very polarizing time, and I think even more interesting is it used to be that it was okay to just be like, hey, I'm Switzerland. I don't have one preference one way or the other. I don't want to offend anybody. I just
Right,
would rather, sit right here in the middle and not worry about things. And it used to be okay to do that, but I don't even think people are okay with that anymore. I think people
no,
almost want you to pick a side of where you stand on certain
right.
topics, and and,
Well, and if
and
you're not for something, or if you're not against something, then you must be for
then
it,
they
which
then the
is not
assumption
the
is you're
case
for it.
either.
Right.
Right.
Right. Yep. Yeah.
So no, it's a very tough thing. So and it's a shame, but it's the society that we're living in currently, and that's the way that it is. But going back to, no, I mean, in my mind, this year's show is a can't miss show. So if
Yeah.
you're watching it and you go, I'd love to go to it, it'd be nice to go to it, I'm telling you, the number one thing that I'm hearing from more and more wedding professionals is, there's just not there's just not enough work out there. I think the work is out there. People just don't necessarily know how to get it, and there's a saturation point. So if you choose to be in like the top tier within your marketplace, you have to make sure that you are actually representing your brand, the brand you desire to be, because there's what you believe your brand is, and then there's what the public perceives your brand to be. And those aren't always synonymous, no matter how hard you try. Your brand is everything that you're putting out there. Your branding, I should say, is everything you're putting out there. Your brand is what they believe you to be. And as a result of that, I think that it's important that you deliver on that. So that's where we're at. Hello, Mario Maduro. Nice to see you, brother. Nice to see you last month. But going back to, I'm sorry, I got sidetracked for a second because I was reading the comments. My bad. This year's we don't have one seminar this entire year at Marquee about performance.
Yeah.
Everything is about sales, marketing, branding, networking. It is all about the business side of the business. So we're going to be under the logical assumption that everybody coming is already a super talented DJ, and they just need a little bit of help tweaking the business side of it. And that's what we're certainly here to do. And we've got some of the best people speaking, and I am super, super excited for all of it. So I'm going to quickly try to recap what's happening this year at Marquee, if it's possible. I already closed that, but we've got some unbelievable people presenting, everybody. Matt Radicelli is going to be back with us yet again, which we're super excited about.
Great guy.
Alan Stern is giving not one but two seminars. One of them is going to be on AI, and one of them is going to be the HEAT method, which is an acronym for humor, entertainment, something. I'm forgetting what it is exactly, but it's a sales-driven type of thing. Andrew Brody, as we talked about, is the CEO and the president of AV Chicago. He's the president of the ILEA chapter. And then we have the handsome David Hanscom here. Darrell Jones, we mentioned. Eric Massengale is going to be talking about automation and automating your CRMs, just your whole business in general, to allow you to either have a life again, and spend some time with your family, or pursue your hobbies or whatever it is. So we're excited about that. Luke Renshin is going to be speaking as well. And Luke is a first-time presenter, and I know he's a good friend of yours. So and I believe he was at our very first Marquee. I'm almost positive.
Yep.
So he's going to be speaking for the first time with us, and we're excited about giving the opportunity. I know he's going to do a great job. Mark McIntosh is back again, and he was a DJ in the 80s, then became a wedding show producer, and now owns a marketing agency for the wedding business, not exclusively, but pretty heavily. Matt Radicelli is the owner of MentorPods and grew his business from being a bowling alley DJ to a $10 million a year company, and is wicked smart. I mean, absolutely. Michael Sawpaw, we had on last week, again, took a $1 million business and is now doing $8.8 million. And he's going to be talking about paid marketing, paid platforms. Roberto Villegas is the king of the Latino community here in Chicago. He has one of the biggest DJ companies in Chicago, but it's not just that. He has LED walls and full production and LED dance floors. I mean, the guy is just an animal. So he's just a powerhouse, and in the Latino community, he is it. Tom Chavez is the vice president of the Chicago NACE chapter, and he and his husband have a marketing agency as well. And then we've got Troy Adams coming from Carolina DJ Professionals talking about branding. This year's show DJ is DJ Mix, who I think is one of the most talented DJs in Chicago, and is a super good friend of mine. And so, yeah, I mean, we are stacked to the rafters.
Good lineup, man.
Yeah, 3 great parties and a traditional, amazing, growing show floor every single year. If you've not gotten the opportunity to see the new QSEs or the new Electro Voice speakers, they both have demo rooms at our show, so you'll be able to see it, feel it, touch it. And then we've got our traditional fun people, and I'm pounding the phones to make sure that our show floor is fully sold out, so that as an attendee, whether you come just for the seminars or just for the show floor, there's tons to do, 3 great parties, and tons of great networking and fun the whole time. So it's going to be a great show. And you can find all of this stuff out at marqueeshow.com. Also follow us on social. Actually, on Facebook right now, I'm still fighting with Instagram to get my my page back. I don't know what happened, but they somehow said we violated it. And someone recommended that I get verified, which would then give me a person, but I'm on the wait list, so we'll see what happens. So if you see us missing on Instagram, it's not that we're still trying to, rather than start over again with a new handle, we're trying to use the one that we've had for the last 7 years. And then on a local basis, folks, for those of you tuning in from the Chicagoland area, Chicago Disc Jockey Meetup, Chicago DJ Network, our Disc Jockey Network, is April 22nd. We are going to have a demo from RCF speakers, and it's going to be once again at Roadhouse 38. We had almost 100 people out there, David. Not too shabby last month for QSC. Awesome. Yeah. And if you were there, you know, it was a really great evening. Super, super cool. So there's that. In the month of May, we are going to be at Pink Noise and we have Chauvet coming out to wow us and that, and our good friends from Audio Biz are the reps for that. So we're excited about that. June then is going to be the Marquee Show. July, we're doing our street parking lot party in front of my office, so it'll be just a fun social night. And tentatively, in the month of August, we've got a verbal yes from Pioneer to be hosting us in the month of August. But until I get a technical in writing yes, we can just keep our fingers crossed and hope that everything goes. But yeah, so if you're a Chicago area DJ, we've got 6 solid months of just absolutely great stuff. If you're national, you can fly into O'Hare. I know that there's a lot of shows happening this summer, but I, of course, believe I've built a better mousetrap, and I hope that you will entrust me with your money, your time, and that we've got a gorgeous hotel, great parties, great presenters, everything you need to succeed. We just need you to get your butt into the seats. That's really what it comes down to. So, John, are you with us?
Yep.
You want to come in and say hello? Tell us your thoughts for the day, or you just kind of throw the logo up there?
The logos are all there. I'll wrap up when you guys are done.
You're in your underwear again. I can tell.
Exactly.
Gotcha. All right. So he said 8:45. It is 8:42, and I've said everything I have to say. David, if somebody wants to get in touch with you to learn more, if there's any single ladies in the house, I don't even know if you're married or not. I could be totally blowing it.
Yeah. But, don't get me in that trouble, man.
Okay, gotcha. Trouble. All right. So anyhow, what he's saying is he prefers ugly women. No, I'm just kidding.
There you go.
So no, but if they want to get in touch with you for totally platonic purposes.
Pretty much all of my social media accounts are just at David Hanscom, so you can find me there, and happy to talk with anybody. I love chatting about the industry. I love chatting about business. I love chatting about AI. I love chatting about sports, whatever. I just love chatting. So hit me up. And
he's an AI guy, something. So you may or may not even be talking to him. It could just be his AI that you're talking to.
That's right.
Exactly. Right. So if it's extremely well spoken, it's probably his AI.
There you go.
All right. So we're less than 90 days away, guys. You got passes with spring savings, 30% off of passes until May 1st. Don't call me after May 1st and ask for an awkward conversation. Get your passes now. All right. So, David, thank you for coming in and coming on. And John, as always, thank you for hosting us. And we will see you guys next Wednesday. Good night and God bless, everybody.
Thank you.